Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Tornado Talk. Every Monday night right here at Dugan's Pub, 29 West French Broad Street in Brevard, North Carolina. Hope you can join us on Mondays nights, and thanks for being here tonight, whether here in person at Dugan's or worldwide on Facebook Live. Got an exciting show on tap. We're going to talk some cyclocross, men's basketball, women's basketball, as well as football. A smorgasbord of guests. And before we get too deep into it, do want to thank our sponsors: Arby's, Zaxby's, Holiday Inn Express, Hampton Inn, Ingles, Mission Sports Medicine, Comporium, Pepsi, and Dugan's Pub. Some breaking news: another Athlete of the Week honor for Brevard College Athletics. Women's basketball Rookie of the Week, just named this afternoon, goes to Avery Lockwood of Brevard College. A big week for Avery, just dominant, especially on the glass. Big rebounding totals, a career-high 15 rebounds this weekend against Wesleyan, and on the week averaged 12.3 rebounds to go along with 5 points, a couple steals as well. Avery Lockwood named Women's Basketball Rookie of the Week. Congratulations to Avery. And since we saw you last, men's basketball had a win over Toccoa Falls, 73-68 last Wednesday. Big games from Demari Hopper, who is going to be a guest on the show a little later. Levi Lamb, Cannon Lamb, and Eric Evans all scoring in double figures as well. Then a loss at William Peace in Raleigh on Saturday, 82-68. Qadhafi Turner led the Tornadoes with 20 points. We'll have Qadhafi on the show as well later this evening. And coming up next for men's basketball, there's a game on Friday at home versus Avery at 7:30 p.m. this Friday at the Bosch. Hope to see you there. Now, women's basketball is just red hot. 5-1 overall record. They went 3-0 this past week, started USA South play with a victory, so atop those USA South conference standings as well. 72-45 win over Toccoa Falls on Wednesday. Then the very next night turned around and got another win, 64-57 over Bob Jones. And then Saturday, just a dominant 84-30 win over Wesleyan in the USA South opener. Big games throughout the week. We mentioned Avery Lockwood, the USA South Women's Basketball Rookie of the Week. Destiny Williams putting up big numbers, along with Annalee Bollinger, senior JaTasha Hollinger, with a big day as well on Saturday, along with Emily Fisher. And it all adds up to a 5-1 overall record, 1-0 in the USA South, a hot start for Coach Donald Hudson's team. And we'll hear from Coach Hudson as well as Annalee Bollinger and JaTasha Hollinger later in the show. And do want to mention this Wednesday night, 6 p.m. at the Bosch, Tornadoes will host Maryville in another USA South matchup, and you certainly want to head on over to the Bosch. Make sure you wear blue. It's a blue-out game. All students wearing blue will receive a free item at the concession stand, and certainly this team deserves your support after this just phenomenal start for Brevard College women's basketball. Just a couple other notes. You do want to check out bctornadoes.com, a great story about the women's lacrosse team on there and all the work they've done in the community. And do want to give a shout out to the Tornadoes. Many student athletes participating this past week in the 47th annual Brevard Christmas Parade. And so that brings us to cycling, who had a big weekend and has another big weekend coming up, and we're going to start with the two cycling coaches. Actually, we're going to start with the two coaches along with student athlete Hannah Dickson and Tyler Clark. So what we're going to do, guys, here is Hannah and Tyler, and you guys have done this before, are going to pass that microphone back and forth, but one of you start with it on for me, okay? All right, joined now by Coach Brad Perley, Coach Cypress Gorey, Hannah Dickson, and Tyler Clark. Guys, thanks for joining Tornado Talk again.
Thanks for having us again.
All right. Well, first, I want to talk about this past weekend because these two in particular had just phenomenal results. At the SECCC Championship held on the campus of Warren Wilson, not too far from here. Muddy conditions that day. We'll start with the coaches. Not just these two, but the team. Big weekend for you guys.
It was, yeah. We were really. We say it a lot. We feel like we're really proud of the way they went and raced and represented the team and the school, and they all put forth a phenomenal effort. But it was also, in situations like that and conditions like that, there's a pretty serious comical aspect of it, too, because it was so incredibly muddy. It was pouring rain the whole day. Everyone was covered in mud from the moment we got there, basically. But it was also the first, kind of like you said, it was the first big team weekend for cyclocross this year that was only collegiate racing that day. We brought a pretty good crew with us. We had our whole tent set up and trailer set up there. So it was a great, it was a good, solid weekend for the team. And like you said, the conference championships, these the 2 out of the 3 winners are sitting right next to us, which is exciting. But overall, we were really proud of how the team performed.
And Coach Cypress, I know there were some upgrades from level B to level A, which is big for the team, big picture heading into the national championships. Can you explain to the audience a little more about that as far as those different levels in cyclocross and what was achieved this weekend by the Tornadoes?
Yeah, so in collegiate cycling, it's a little bit different than other sports because we have multiple levels that all of the athletes can compete at. So regardless of your skill level in the sport, you can come into cycling and be able to compete with others that are at a similar level to the same that you are. So you can come in and be an A, B, C level rider and still kind of have a race that kind of caters to your talent and ability level. So what that restricts, though, is there's only A riders that are able to qualify to go to the national championships. So over the course of the season, we've had to get some of the riders upgraded because they start out as a C and then are able to move up through the ranks as they do well kind of in the lower categories. So now we've got everybody to an A that we want to take to nationals. That's a big accomplishment for us because we'll be able to field a full team.
And in the women's B at the SECCC Cyclocross Championship this past weekend at Warren Wilson, Hannah won that race and therefore was upgraded to the A category. And Nicole Rusden finished second and also was upgraded to the A category. So congratulations, Hannah. How'd it feel to win that race? I know cyclocross is fairly new to you, right?
Yeah, so this is my first season racing cross. It was really cool to win. I had a lot of fun racing.
Now, were those muddy conditions challenging for you?
I love the mud. I've lived here my whole life, so it's like I've lived in a rainforest, so I'm kind of used to it.
Nice. And anything else to add as far as, in particular, Hannah and Nicole, Coach? These two, new to cyclocross competition, especially here on the collegiate level, and seem like they're catching on real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen, over the past number of years that we've been here, we've seen a lot of riders take a similar path in terms of they might come into school as a freshman, and maybe they've raced one discipline, maybe two, but it's really a time where on our team they're able to branch out and try some new things, and that's part of what our goal is because our team is relatively small compared to a lot of other programs we're competing against. So Cypress and I, a big drive for us is that we're always trying to look within our team to see where some great talent and potential might be, and that's why we were encouraging them to give it a shot and try to improve on each race weekend, and they're learning a lot quickly. But yeah, we're really proud of them. It's exciting.
Now, Hannah, I like that take charge attitude of yours. Just hand the mic over there to Tyler because I was ready to ask Tyler a question here. Tyler, congratulations! You won the men's A conference championship this past weekend. Big for you. Now, I haven't had the chance to talk to you as far as your experience in cyclocross. I know you more as a mountain biker. You went to those world championships. Are you familiar with cyclocross prior to arriving here at Brevard College?
Yeah, past 2 years I've raced a lot of cross. I used to go to school in Vermont at Killings Mountain School, so we had a whole cross season we do with the school, kind of like we do here. So I've gotten used to the cross scene over the past couple of years.
And tell me about this course at Warren Wilson this past weekend. Were there some different elements to you that were a little different than maybe you were used to?
Yeah, they had some pretty cool features. It kind of started out, most of it was in a soccer field, which is pretty typical. And then they took us kind of on the single track kind of climb out of the way, and then down this tricky, muddy descent that finished with a pretty sharp corner, so that was pretty cool.
Now, last one for you, Tyler. There was a video going around social media of the transition, this bike change, mid-race, and the teammates were right there along with you, cheering you on. For the layman like me and a lot of our audience, what does it take to pull off a good change of the bikes there?
It's kind of like practice. I've been doing it for a while, so it's like kind of keep going, practicing, trying to get better at it. Kind of work from kind of stepping onto the bike to being able to jump onto it cleanly. Gets pretty tricky when you get tired, though. So.
And were you able to hear those cheers from your teammates to kind of propel you to that championship?
For sure. Yeah, you could hear them the whole time. I could hear them across the field playing music, cheering right next to you all the time too. It was awesome.
Nice. Well, I want to commend the coaches, because one of the things that I've noticed about your team is that camaraderie and really lifting each other up in some challenging situations on some of these courses. So congratulations on that. Now, turning the page to this weekend, because another big event that we want folks to come on out, and if you're familiar with cyclocross, this is going to be a great place for you to see some great competition. If you're unfamiliar with cyclocross, it's going to be a great place to experience the sport maybe for the first time in Hendersonville, North Carolina, just down the road, Jackson Park, 801 4th Avenue in Hendersonville. Brevard College is hosting a big race, the North Carolina Cyclocross Grand Prix, sponsored by Hunter Subaru. Coaches, what can fans expect if they come on out this weekend to Hendersonville?
Well, there'll be a lot more than collegiate racing going on this weekend, which is really exciting. We're partnering the event with the North Carolina Cyclocross Series, which is a very long-standing, I think they're in their 23rd year of races. So they know how to put on some cyclocross races for sure. So we're excited to be working with them to have them help host our collegiate races, and they'll have a bunch of other category races going on, as well as some UCI pro level races going on too. So we'll have, that's kind of going to be later in the day. There'll be a men and women's pro race as well, and I believe that the U.S. Pro men's national champion is actually going to be racing this weekend. So there'll be some very top level racing for people to come out and see this weekend in Hendersonville.
Excellent. Yeah, really looking forward to it, and do want to encourage folks to head on out to Hendersonville. Now, there's some serious weather in the forecast. There's they're already got the news alerts on that snow is coming Friday and Saturday right on top of this event. How would snow affect the race this weekend?
It's going to make it a little crazy, honestly. Last year I feel like it was 8 inches of snow the day before on Friday, and yeah, the show goes on. It just makes it, the bike exchanges like you mentioned a minute ago, become that much more important. Last year we were trying to change bikes. Most of the racers were changing bikes twice a lap generally whenever they go by the pit. So then, they're trying to stay on a bike that's not frozen, that's not totally covered in snow, that the wheels still roll a little bit. But yeah, it seems like this weekend always falls on a crazy little pocket of weather regardless of when it is. So it makes it interesting. It definitely is true. That's probably the best way to put it. But from our team perspective, I think most of the students just get really excited when it's like that. And fortunately, like you mentioned, it's really close for us, so we don't have to worry about a long travel. They'll all be out there helping set up the course on Friday, so they'll get to see the course and pre-ride it too. Yeah, it'll be a good one for sure. Good to spectate.
Great, yeah. No, it sounds like a lot of fun. Now, Tyler, being, coming from Vermont and, a lot of experience up in Canada as well, I'm sure you're used to, snowy conditions on the bike, right?
Yeah, for sure. It excites me a lot for the snow to be coming here. It'd be awesome.
Nice. Now, pass that mic right back to Hannah for me. Okay, Hannah, I've got two more for you. One, snow. Have you ridden in the snow a bunch? I would imagine you can find it if you want to here in the mountains of, North Carolina. But is it something you're experienced in?
I've done it once or twice, but honestly, I hate snow. It's cold and I hate it.
Well, this weekend, I don't know if we have any choice, right? The snow might be coming whether we're ready or not. Now, last one for you, Hannah. Your coach was kind enough to tell me about some of your volunteer work with the Little Bellas group, which, I looked into it. Really neat organization where, you're helping young ladies, grow up through mountain biking. Tell us about the Little Bellas group and what you've been doing for them.
So I ride in the back of the 7-year-olds group, and that's my favorite place because those are the kids you see the most improvement with. They're the hardest to work with, but you see so much over the whole season.
Yeah, and if any parents out there want to get their young children, their daughters involved, go to www.littlebellas.com. And, thanks, Hannah, for that hard work, volunteering with that organization. I know it's, really gratifying stuff. Now, last thing, coaches, beyond this weekend's, event in Hendersonville, which is obviously a big one that we're hosting, the national championships in Louisville the following weekend. Tell the audience, what sort of position we're in, and we talked about it a little bit as far as, moving up in class, heading into those national championships, and, hopefully, contending to try to bring home another one to Brevard College.
Yeah, that's always our goal, of course. Before any of that happens, obviously, we need, honestly, you need a lot of luck. You need things to fall the right way, but our students, we're very confident. We're very pleased with the way they've all prepared, and we have never have to be concerned with them trying their hardest and laying it all out there on the course. That's nothing we've ever had an issue with. No, we're really excited about it. It's so many different things can happen in that 45-minute men's and women's race. It's just you have to just kind of go in open-minded a little bit and with a good amount of confidence. But they're all very humble and they're hardworking, as you know. So we're really excited about it. But yeah, that starts. We conclude racing at about almost 5 o'clock on Sunday, and then Tuesday start driving to Louisville as a team. So, yeah, it's a pretty quick turnaround. So
that travel's a little more manageable than Montana for the mountain bikes.
Just a hair, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, guys, best of luck this weekend. We're going to be following every step of the way with you. Best of luck at the national championships if we don't see you again before then. And congratulations again, Tyler and Hannah. Really impressive results this weekend, and keep it up. All right. Coaches Cypress Gorey, Brad Perley, and student athletes Hannah Dickson and Tyler Clark from the cycling program, talking some cyclocross here on Tornado Talk. Great to have these guys on the show, and hope you can head on down to Hendersonville on Saturday for what should be a great event, part of the North Carolina Grand Prix cyclocross. So we'll turn the page now. And talk a little men's basketball. Come on in, guys. All right, joined now by two men's basketball student athletes, Demari Hopper and Qadhafi Turner. Guys, thanks for joining Tornado Talk.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Well, saw you on Wednesday in a 73-68 win over Toccoa Falls. Demari, 14 points, 7 rebounds, a real team victory, no doubt about it. We'll want to hear from each of you guys. We'll start with Demari. Demari, how'd you feel that night against Toccoa Falls?
I felt pretty good. The game started. I got touches in the post and scored early, so I was feeling pretty good.
Yeah, and Qadhafi, it was one of those games that, you guys had to fend them off a little bit down the stretch and, hold on to that lead. You feel like the team really came together when it mattered most late in that game?
Yes, sir. I really do. We, got in the huddle, talk to each other like, come on, we got to get some stops. We got to come out here and play hard because we ain't finna lose in front of our home crowd.
Yeah, well, you guys got it done that night. Now, I hate to harp on a loss, but it happened this past weekend. It was the season opener for the USA South Conference. You guys went to Raleigh, took on William Peace. Now, Qadhafi, I do want to point this out to the audience. You were draining some threes.
Yes,
6 3-pointers. You were feeling it.
Yes,
Tell me a little bit about getting in that rhythm from beyond the arc, and is it the sort of thing that you've got it on certain days like Saturday?
Yes, sir. Saturday, I don't know what it was. I was feeling hot, and then my teammates kept passing the ball, and I just let them go, and they was going in. So hey, it is what it is.
And Demari, were you noticing the same thing, that he was feeling it, and were you guys looking for him? Not when you knew he had that kind of hot hand.
Yeah, I believe I passed him the ball on his first three, and after I play with him every day. So after I see he hit a couple, he get hot. So keep feeding him the ball.
Keep feeding him.
Yes,
Now, you guys have, compared to last week, a few more days off before the next game. Friday, home against Averett, back to USA South Conference play. What are the things, Coach Burgess is telling you guys as far as the key for this week?
Just to lock in on the scout, listen to what they're telling us, basically.
Yeah, locking on the scout, rebound, play better in transition. That's about it. That's what we gotta get better at. That's all we lost.
Now, I did this with the guys last week, and I some good results with this line of questioning. I'm going to ask each of you about one of your teammates, and you can go on as long as you want about these guys. So we'll start with Demari. I want to hear about Levi Lamb.
It's one of my road dogs. We came in together, played. We spend pretty much every day together. I mean, we're real close. And he a bucket.
Now, Qadhafi, you're probably wondering who I'm going to ask you about.
I am.
And I'm going to go on a guy who is a key reserve, comes off the bench and makes some things happen.
Okay.
Tell me about Eric Evans.
Eric Evans. That's my young boy, Eric. He cool. He's a shooter too. Eric is a good player. He didn't play too much last year, but as a sophomore, he's getting a little better. He's seen his role more. He's getting a lot of more touches, more playing time. He's getting comfortable in his shoes, and he's going to be a good fit for us from off the bench.
Nice. Well, good to hear that. I told the guys last time. Sometimes it's easier to talk about your teammate than yourself, and I think it's a good thing because it shows that you're humble.
Yes,
now,
sir.
last thing. You guys are both North Carolina natives. Qadhafi, you're from Wilmington, so other side of the state. Demari, you're from Gastonia, so sort of in between here and Charlotte or on the way to Charlotte.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about your experience here at Brevard College. How you guys, what do you like about Brevard?
It's different. I mean, it's a lot of quiet. The only thing you can, if you come here, the only thing you're really playing basketball, so. I mean, just stay in the gym. That's my biggest thing.
Nice.
Me, this is where I met my boys, and my boys Hoppe and Lee, and we've been dogs ever since. A couple guys, they was here our freshman, but they're gone. But yeah, I mean, Brevard is a nice place. Got the waterfalls and all that joint too. And it's quiet. It's real slow. It's not what I'm used to from Wilmington. It's the city and everything move kind of fast. It's kind of like a slow pace here. And it's nice, but there's not much to do. So we do stay in the gym all the time. We got to get better, stay on our game.
Nice. Well, guys, good luck this week at practice. Keep up the good work. I know there's a lot of season in front of us, that's for sure. But it's kind of a one day at a time thing. You got to just worry about what's right in front of you. But we'll be out there on Friday versus Averett, 7:30 p.m. at the Bosch. Hope all the fans can come on out and get you guys going. And hope to see Qadhafi rain some of those threes in. Hope to see you, get it done in all sorts of, parts of the game, including setting up this guy. So keep up the good work, guys, and thanks for coming on Tornado Talk.
Yes, sir.
Thanks
all
for
right.
having us.
Qadhafi Turner and Demari Hopper, men's basketball student athletes. Heading into this Friday's home game versus Averett, 7:30 at the Bosch. and joined now by head coach Lee Burgess. Coach, good to see you again on Tornado Talk.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, first, just like we did last time, I'd like you to tell the audience a little more about the two gentlemen we just had on the show, Demari Hopper and Qadhafi Turner.
Yeah, well, both those guys have worked extremely hard to be in the position that they're in now, both of them starting for us and really being major contributors. And that was not how their career started. Some guys are able to come in as freshmen and really contribute right away in a big way. And that was not their story. They came in and they have worked their tail off to be in the situation that they're in, contributing now, which has been a lot of fun to see. But a lot of that credit goes to them and their hunger to improve. Hop is a guy who his energy is very contagious on the floor. He's a great intangible guy in terms of his effort and knocking balls loose and getting a key offensive rebound and things like that. And then against I believe it was in our last game at home, maybe it was Bob Jones, might be getting confused. Yeah, he made a huge shot late to give us a little bit more of a cushion. And then Q, I heard you talking to Q a little bit about his 3-point game that he had at Peace, and that's something he's worked extremely hard on. And we're asking him to put the ball. We're putting the ball in his hands a lot this year, which is really not his comfort zone. He would I think if you gave him his choice, would rather be off the ball, catching and shooting and things like that. We put the ball in his hands a lot more this year because he's worked at that. And again, a lot of that credit goes to those guys for how hard they have worked to put themselves in the position that they're in right now.
Now, if we can rewind a little bit earlier this past week, between shows last week and then today. 73-68 win over Tacoma Falls on Wednesday. Demari had a nice game that day, both scoring wise and also on the boards, and altogether a pretty complete win. Thoughts on the Tacoma Falls game?
Yeah, I think that was one that we really gutted out just because it was first game back from Thanksgiving. We'd been off for a few days for Thanksgiving and then coming back, and we did not shoot the ball very well at all from the foul line. I think we were 14 of 27 from the line, from the free throw line, and 3 of 15 from the arc for the game. So we did not shoot the ball very well at all. But made enough plays to get that win. Got enough stops to get that win, and I do think that was the game. Hop made a big shot in the paint. Levi made a long 2-point shot at the end of the shot clock late in the game. Cannon made a big 3-pointer late in the game just to kind of keep us with a cushion in there. So we made some plays down the stretch to get that win and get some legs back under us, I think, moving forward to the Peace game that I'm sure we'll talk about later on. But, proud of our guys to get that win on a day where we didn't necessarily shoot it great. Still found a way to get the ball where it needed to be, to give us a good opportunity to score.
Yeah, and then a few days later, you guys hit the road on Friday evening to Raleigh, North Carolina. Tough result at William Peace for the start of USA South Conference play. But let's start with the positives. What are the things you saw that you liked on Saturday?
I think that our first shot defense was pretty good against William Peace. William Peace is a good team, and we needed to play better. And I think they I talked to our team a lot after the game and today again. I feel like William Peace just out-toughed us in that game. When you analyze, why you're not successful, again, I think our first shot defense was pretty good in that game. I think that we, for the most part, paid attention to who we were guarding. We didn't really let their 3-point shooters get clean looks early, but they crushed us on the glass. They did. And 20 offensive rebounds for them, which led to a lot of points. And I just wasn't really a big fan of our grit and toughness in that game. And I've really challenged our guys about that afterwards. And again today, I think it might be a different result if we go into that game with a little tougher mindset. We're still learning a little bit, and winning on the road was not something that we did a lot last year. We had one win on the road last year, and so I think we're playing a lot of younger guys still, and you'd like to to just be able to tell them and have them go do it, but sometimes you got to just be thrown into the fire. And I don't think our mindset was as hungry to get a league win on the road as needed. So hopefully, through experiencing the loss and going through that game, and then a film session today where I think they saw what I was talking about, hopefully that speeds up that learning curve. And I told them some of that's on me too. As we hold each other accountable and try to hold myself accountable to it too. I probably have not been as demanding of them in some areas in practice as I should have been to get their attention moving forward to this game. So, we all have to assess what we need to do better. It's something I can do better. They know what they need to do better. But in terms of our attention to detail on the scout, that was probably the positive that I could take from that game, but was not quite enough to get us over the hump.
Sure. Now, you mentioned Peace, coming through with offensive rebounds. Philosophically, how is that corrected from a coaching standpoint?
Well, I think that number one, what I need to do more in practice is probably pay a little more attention to that when we're either scrimmaging or going through defensive drills and things like that. I think that, as a coach, you do certain drills for certain things. When we're doing a rebounding drill, yes, everybody is looking, checking, making contact, going to pursue the ball.
Sure.
But now when we're working on something else, maybe that attention to that detail slips, and we need, as a coaching staff, need to pay a little more attention to that. Hey, we just worked on this 10 minutes ago, and now it's slipping because we're not focusing on this.
Right.
So I think that's something that we as coaches can do better. We can pay a little more attention to in practice. But what I challenge them on, while I need to do that better, this is something that we addressed over and over again during the game, at the media timeout, the next media timeout, the next media timeout, at halftime. And it never got better during the game. And so while some of it's on me, some of it's on them too, and we all got to hold each other accountable here to, hey, when we're talking about something, we all got to be locked in on what that is. And it can't just be, we don't have bad guys. They're not nodding, saying, got it, just because they want to say that. But it takes, again, you've heard me say it before, it takes a heightened level of mental intensity to lock in on what's being said and then carry it onto the court and go do it. That's where we didn't do a good job of that on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you being so candid with that. It's something we'll be watching to, see if there's improvement in that specific area. Now, this week, a big opportunity back at home, the friendly confines of the Boshemer Gymnasium, this Friday, 7:30 p.m. versus Averett.
Yep.
Full week of practice leading into it, so you don't have a midweek game to worry about, and you can just zone in on Averett, I would imagine. You mentioned a few items, but what do you see as the key heading into Averett?
Yeah, we're going to have to keep their guards in front. Their guards are pretty good getting into the paint. We're going to see a lot of ball screen action in that game, and their guards are pretty crafty with the ball, whether it be refusing ball screens and getting into the paint or maybe splitting defenders and getting into the paint. Now, we switch a lot of those ball screens, so hopefully the splits don't happen. Hopefully the refusal of the ball screens don't happen. But when you're dealing with players that are pretty good, invariably they're going to find ways to try to get to their strength. So we're going to have to keep their guards out of the paint. Statistically, this Averett team is not a team that has shot the ball great from the arc this year, and so we're gonna be concentrating really on plugging gaps and trying to keep the ball on the perimeter as much as we can. But again, when you've got talented guys with the ball in their hands are going to try to find ways to get to their strength. So that'll be a key for us to try to keep the ball out of the paint. And then when those shots go up, now we gotta go finish the possession out. So we'll see how well we meet that challenge, in the game on Friday.
Well, last opportunity for the fans in 2018,
Yep.
To catch the Tornadoes on the home court. So hope everybody can get out there at the Boshemer Gymnasium. Does the team feed off the crowd? Does that make a big difference to you guys when the place is packed?
It does, yeah, absolutely. I think that's just really natural that, anytime there's that energy in the gym, our guys feed off of it. When we make a conscious effort when there's not people in there to try to create our own energy. So just following that logic, I think, the more people that are in there, the more people they know, the louder it can be, then, everybody just kind of feeds off of that energy. And, people want to play in front of people they know, and we're a smaller school and people know everybody knows everybody. So we can get everybody's friends to the game. Then I think that certainly helps us generate energy for our
Well, we challenge everyone in the area who can make it on Friday night. Come on out and root on the Tornadoes against Avery at 7:30 p.m. at the Bosch. Coach, thanks for coming on Tornado
Absolutely.
Talk.
Thanks for having me.
Have a great week.
Yeah, you too.
All right, Coach Lee Burgess previewing this Friday's home game against Avery at 7:30 p.m. at the Bosch. Hope to see you there. All right, joined now by Coach Eric Gallen, assistant head coach and running backs coach for the Brevard College Tornadoes. Coach, thanks for joining the show.
Hey, no problem. Thank you. I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this edition of Tornado Talk and having you on the show with us. Now, before we get into the Brevard College Tornadoes, I would be remiss not to mention your college coach from your playing days, who yesterday announced his retirement. For those who aren't familiar, Coach Gallen was a running back for Kansas State in the first few seasons of Bill Snyder's career. In fact, you were a freshman his first season.
Yes.
And Bill Snyder engineered what is considered everywhere as the greatest turnaround in college football history.
Yes.
Please tell us a little bit about Coach Snyder, your thoughts, your appreciation of him. It must mean the world to you to, see him cap off his career like this.
Well, first I'm going to say that it was a huge ordeal while playing for him. One of the things that I do know, that him being the person that he is, he was very demanding. He required a lot from his players. The one thing that stood out the most is perfection, and which he was in pursuit of, and that's at all times. And it wasn't really so much on whether, you made mistakes. It was about how are you going to correct it and how you're going to get better. And it was always about getting better. We talk about those 16 goals for success that he has. And those things were embedded in us. And he made sure that we knew every single one of them and knew the meaning behind them.
Wow.
And if we didn't, there were consequences. So he was in that retrospect, for him, I mean, and in my life personally, that's just what he drove in each and every one of us. And I sent out a tweet today, and I thanked him. And I've probably gotten, I would say, maybe 40, 50 responses to that tweet because it was something that I had to do. I felt like I had to do.
Yeah.
And it was a throwback picture that I used when I tore up my knee, going into my senior campaign, because I had contemplated on coming out of college as a junior. And Bill Snyder said, look, we're going to work this thing out. We're going to make it through. And I also wanted to go home to Florida because I thought I was done with football. Because at the time, it was unheard of that a guy tears up his knee in the spring and would be able to come back and play.
It's before the days of all these surgeries and things they do today, yeah.
And so what happened was he got me with one of the best surgeons, and Dr. Jones. I had a great protocol, which was Dr. Shelbourne's protocol. I had a great trainer who worked me through everything, and Todd Torricelli, who's now with the Tennessee Titans. And they rehabbed me to death, and I came back and played in the first game in August.
Now, again, just so folks you don't realize, please look up Bill Snyder and look at his story and the things he has done.
Yes.
Member of the College Football Hall of Fame, the accolades go on and on. But really, the thing that sticks out to most anybody, any college football historian, is that turnaround that you were there for. 0-10 in '87, 0-11 in '88 before Snyder got there.
Right.
1-10 in '89. So at least you got a win, got that losing streak out of the blood. But then 5-6 in '90 and 7-4 in '91.
Right.
And you were there for every step of the way. Now,
Exactly.
If you can remember back, what did it feel like, your junior and senior years, once you guys got on the winning side, of 500, and looking back and getting the fan base going. I mean, this was a program just in the doldrums that suddenly had, resurrected itself.
Exactly. The one thing that I do know, going through that process, and it's the same kind of similar process that we were looking at right here at Brevard.
Yep.
So it's one of those things where you look at things from a transparent standpoint and say, okay, let's try to mirror this. And believe it or not, when he came to Kansas State, he said this is going to be one of the greatest turnarounds in college football, and it's not something to be taken lightly. That was a quote he said. He predicted that before it even happened, which we thought, now we look at it and we're like, man, that guy's a genius.
Right.
And so when I got here, I talked to Coach Kayat, and the first thing I told Coach Kayat, I said, listen, we have to turn this thing around and make this one of the greatest turnarounds. And we can do it. But there's processes and steps in place that you have to do. And one is getting the right staff, getting the kids in, and believing, not buying. Because the one thing that Bill Snyder realizes that he doesn't want players to buy into anything because he was never selling anything. He always said that, I'm not selling you guys anything, so there's nothing to buy into. What I want you to do is believe in what we're doing. So we then, he constructed those 14, there were 14 goals for success at first. He added the other 2 later. So we kind of did some similar things here to add some goals in of what kids need to believe in and what, how it just worked them through everything that they did. And they go out and actually try to achieve those because they're not only goals for football, but they're goals for personal, for their life. And it was life-changing if you look up all of K-State football, and right now if you go on any social media, all the former players are all talking about it because it was such a huge ordeal. And they're all talking about the impact. They're all talking about how life-changing it was. And I'm talking about some of the greats who've ever played, from Mark Semino to Kevin Lockett, Tyler Lockett. I'm talking Michael Bishop. I'm talking some of the great players who played at Kansas State. And so you take that and you look at it and you say, well, hey, why the heck we can't do it here? But it was impactful.
Yeah, I love the parallels to Brevard College and, you and Coach Kayat and the staff coming in here and trying to turn this thing around and doing a good job of turning it around in these first couple years. Now, I know you guys are your harshest critics, but the Tornadoes won 3 of their last 4 games to, finish up 2018, 4-1 record at home. As the optimist, tell us about the progress that this program's made in the last year or so.
I would say that the strides that were made are the strides that we anticipated. They weren't always the strides that we really truly wanted. I mean, there are some teams that when we played, when we beat them, we should have beat them.
Right.
There are some, teams that we played that it was close and we didn't win. Now we're trying to figure out what is the other little piece. How do we get these guys to finish games? The thought process on how do we close them out, and believing that you can win because you have to expect to win. And if you expect to win, then you need to have the mentality that I got to do everything that I need to do to win.
Yep.
So it's challenging. Especially with this staff, that's such a great staff, and there's a lot of great coaches on this staff, and to, go 4-6 and then 4-6 again, regardless of whether we finish it up 4-1 at home, and I mean it's actually almost like a role reversal from last year. Road games we were good, home games we were not so good. So anyway, I mean it's just, I think for the most part we look at it and we just try to figure out what is it that we got to do to get better every day.
Now, future's bright, no doubt, because just the nature of a young roster, mostly freshmen, sophomores, hopefully a lot of these guys coming back. And also, I know you guys are on the recruiting trail to fill in the holes where you need to. Out there recruiting, do you feel like you guys have made progress as far as turning Brevard into a brand of sorts and people, starting to know us a little better?
I would say, I would have to say that we are. I think it has become now a brand where kids are seeking us out.
Great.
More so than us seeking them out. And we're being a little bit more selective than we were before because we do have a great number of our kids that we all met with prior to Thanksgiving break. And we know that a majority of the kids are going to come back and they want to come back. And that's part of the retention that we need from our players because we don't always want to go out and have to recruit 40 and 50, 60 guys and bring in all new freshmen every year because then there's going to be a learning curve, all over again. So our job right now is to hone in on the kids that we have and continue to just hold on to them. And the kids that we're recruiting, I think these are going to be kids that are going to add to our program and not take away from, and just saying, hey, we're going to go get kids just to bring them in and have numbers. No, that's not what we're about.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, Coach. Now, back to K-State for just a second. There's one more parallel that I don't even think I realized before. I've had the pleasure of going to Manhattan, Kansas. It is a tiny little town, just like Brevard, but it's kind of magical, just like Brevard. You've been a lot of places. You're from Florida like me originally. Talk about Brevard a little bit and how you think this can be sort of a hidden gem. As far as a spot, not for football, but also just a great place to go to college.
Well, I wouldn't say more so. I think it could be a hidden gem. I know it could be a gem. I know it can. What we have to do is continue to embrace the community, and the community embrace us, because there's a process in which how you go about doing it. And I witnessed that with Kansas State football. I mean, Bill Snyder had pep rallies downtown. He was on a stage platform. Players were out there. Crowds weren't that big at first, but as the years progressed, there was bigger and bigger crowds every year that loomed around for that first pep rally to kick off the season. This town can have a great football program. And let me tell you, football programs, they will bolster a town. I mean, that little town of Manhattan, like you say, it's a college town. And now the population is such, everybody's flocking to Manhattan to move.
That's right.
Just like here, this is one of the greatest vacation spots in America. And it's in magazines, and it's noted for that. And we discussed that before.
Yeah, and not just vacation spot, but one of the most livable places in the world.
And where you want to live. Yeah. And the one thing that I look at it as is it's like Manhattan, living in Manhattan and that town, and that people still leave their car doors unlocked, doors open. I mean, it's that type of town because everybody is there for a reason, for a purpose, and it just works and it fits. And it can be the same environment here in Brevard because it's already there. Now we just have to do our part on the football field, and then if we continue to show progress, then we will want the fans to come out and support.
Yep, makes a lot of sense, Coach. Now, last one. I do want to talk about the running back position a little bit, and really, your craft of, molding these backs. What does it take in today's era of college football, to be a successful running back?
Well, I'll tell you this. To be a successful running back in this day and time, it takes a lot of work. I think a lot of players want to play the game, but for me as a coach, I want to teach them the game, and I want to teach them things that they may not have been taught. And it's taking it to the next level as far as reading keys, reading formations, reading how someone sets themselves up, how certain things play out, anticipation. How to maneuver your body, how to maneuver your head and swivel your hips and things like that. But, running backs, I'll tell you this, when I'm a running back, we're prima donnas. I'll be honest with you.
Even more so than that receiving core?
Oh, are you kidding me?
Really?
We're next to the quarterback. we're right next to the quarterback. But we're prima donnas. But it's delicate in how you have to deal with running backs. You can be tough with them, but you also have to be, from a tough standpoint, you have to be a teacher. And it's all about teaching. You just want to teach as much as you can about the situation or the particular element that you're actually in.
Sure.
And that's what I think is important. And I think that's what makes great running backs. Great running backs nowadays, if you get the bigger guys, they're not, as loose in the hips. You get the smaller guys, they're not as strong in the hips or explosive. But you're just looking for that combination of explosiveness in your hips and having the ability. I mean, you've seen it time and time again. You get these kids from down south. You being down in Miami, you saw Dalvin Cook. You saw the way he runs. You know he's explosive. He has hips. And there's a lot of other great running backs I can talk about, and it has those same similarities. But, that's what I look for when I look for a running back. I don't look for so much, okay, you have to be 6'2", 210 pounds, 220 pounds. That's not what I look for. I look for a kid that can do it all, has to be able to pass block, especially in our offense, being that it's pro style. So you have to pass block, you have to be able to catch out of the backfield, you have to be intelligent because you have to know what you're doing in our offense.
Last one. I know I said last one before, but
it's okay.
I need to mention your graduating senior, Tyler Gregory.
Yes.
And let you speak a little bit about him. I talked to Coach Kite a lot about Tyler, and you talk about a running back who can do a lot of things, not just a running back, that's for sure. He's beyond that. But, great career here at Brevard. We'll miss him, of course, but, tell the audience something they might not know about Tyler Gregory.
Well, see, Tyler was the epitome of everything I just said, what you want in a running back. He wasn't the fastest, which you don't have to be the fastest. However, if you are intelligent, because he was so intelligent, he was so smart, he was able to play in between running back and in between another position that will put him out and make him a mismatch for defensive players or anything like that. So Tyler was one of those special kids that are rare, and it will be extremely difficult for us to replace him. And he may be a guy that we may not find another like that for 2, 3, 4 years.
Sure.
Because he's just that rare. He was just that smart, and he was able to play almost every position on the offense from tight end. Therefore, he can play offensive line because he could block as a tight end. At tight end, he can play a tight end because that's what he was before. And then when we moved him, and then he can go out and catch routes. He can play receiver because he was smart enough to know, hey, if I got press coverage, I'm converting this route.
Right.
If I have a guy playing off, I can convert this route. If I got a guy inside, I'm going to stem him and then try to get back vertical. Then, he just knew those things. And then as a running back, you saw how tough he was. If it was 3rd and 1, I had no problems, no doubt. I'm calling it. I want to give it to Tyler.
Nice.
Because he was going to knife his way in and get that first down.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you, filling us in on that and sharing some of that background with Coach Bill Snyder. Really, I don't believe in coincidences. That the night we have you on the show is the day after he retires. Nothing's more cool than that. So,
exactly.
Coach, congrats on another season here at Brevard College. Good luck on the recruiting trail, and we'll talk to you down the road.
All right, thank you. Good.
Coach Eric Gallen, assistant head football coach and running backs coach. Great to have Coach Gallen on the show. And the action-packed Monday edition of Tornado Talk carries on. Now shifting gears to women's basketball. Joined now by head coach Donald Hudson. Coach,
what's going on?
Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Well, I know you guys just got off the practice court, preparing for Wednesday's matchup against Maryville. But before we get into looking ahead to Maryville, do want to review what was a sensational week. 3 wins to improve to 5-1 overall, 1-0 in the USA South. Just to take the audience back a little bit. Last Wednesday at the Boshemer Gymnasium, a 72-45 win over Toccoa Falls. Destiny Williams, 20 points. Brianna Ware, 11 points to lead the way. Good, solid win this past Wednesday over Toccoa Falls.
Yes, sir. Going back to that game, we pretty much got contributions from everyone. Everyone was able to come in and produce the way I know they can once they get on the floor. And it's always good to get everybody some experience. Everybody needs that game experience. You know, we can get live reps and practice and everything, but it's nothing like when the lights come on and you have to go out there in front of the home crowd, your friends and community and everybody. So it's always good to get everybody some experience. You know, we can play the way we normally play and get a decent-sized lead. You know, we can leave people out there a little longer than we normally would. And I think that's been good for us this last week.
Yeah, and more challenging game on Thursday, 64-57 win over Bob Jones. What was great there is that your one loss, the one blemish on the record so far this season was at Bob Jones. So great to avenge that loss with a win over Bob Jones. And Annalee Bollinger, who's going to be a guest right after you, had a big night, 24 points, 5 3-pointers. You felt good about that Bob Jones win as well, I'm sure.
We did. We did want to build it up to be more than what it was. No, it was just another game, you know, but it kind of left a bad taste in our mouth from the previous week. So we wanted to go out and take care of our home court, and we did. We got off to a nice start. They came back, put some pressure on us in the second half, and then, like I told the team, that was something that we needed. You know, we had a decent-sized lead, and we look up, and now it's a 1 or 2 possession game. You know, now we got to execute our stuff. Get back, keep them off the free throw line, and get some stops, and let's get out of here. And I think that's what we did.
And then Saturday, the USA South Conference opener against Wesleyan, just a completely one-sided affair, 84-30, the final score. Led 47-13 at the half, outscored Wesleyan 23-3 in the third quarter. Coach, we talked after the game, but I'd like to take it on from this perspective. When a game's that out of hand, you know, what are the things that you like to, you know, you're looking for from your team to, you know, make sure you guys are still doing the right things, even though you've got a 30, 40, 50-point lead?
We talk about no matter what the score is, no matter what's on the clock, as far as time, we want to play the exact same way no matter what. You know, so even though that we got a decent lead in that game, we still want to play Brevard College women's basketball. We still want to do the things that we do. We want to execute our offense. But most importantly, we want to defend at a high level. That's who we are. I think we're at our best when we can get stops, get rebounds, and get out in transition. Now we find driving lanes. We find open shooters in transition. And I think that's when we're at our best. So we got to get stops and put the pace. So no matter what the score is, whether we're down 20, up 20, no matter how much time is on the clock, we still want to play that brand of basketball.
Now, that big week, 3-0, resulted in an individual accolade that was announced this afternoon. Freshman Avery Lockwood named the USA South Women's Basketball Rookie of the Week. You know, she had a big week, especially on the boards. 15 rebounds in that game against Wesleyan, averaged 12.3 rebounds. Tell us about Avery, not just on the week, but, you know, altogether, what kind of student athlete she is.
Yes, sir. Congratulations to her. You know, we talked about her on the practice floor today, and she's a great kid, great person. You know, she's a good basketball player, but even better person. You know, rebounding is something that she's going to do well here for the next 4 years. Now, what we have to work on is her being a little more selfish. I know that kind of sounds bad, but she's a little too unselfish. You know, at times we'll have things drawn up to get her the ball in a certain spot, and that unselfish nature may kick in and she'll kick it out, which is the okay play to make. Maybe it's the right play to make. But at times I want to see her be a little more aggressive and go get a bucket on the block when we draw up something for her, because she has that talent. You know, she has good touch. She can shoot it from the outside. She has a hook over either shoulder, right hand, left hand. And now it's about making sure she's comfortable when she catches it and getting to the move that she wants, not letting the defense dictate to her. And once she gets that, the sky's the limit for that kid.
Yeah, well, congratulations indeed to Avery Lockwood, USA South Women's Basketball Rookie of the Week for this past week. Great job by her and the entire Tornadoes. Really, the hot team on campus at the moment. 5-1 overall, a great start to the season. Now this week, Wednesday against Maryville at the Bosch. The athletic department has put together a promotion calling the game a blue out. So encouraging students to wear blue and to really create a cool environment on Wednesday. Any student coming to the game wearing blue gets a free item at the concession stand. So lots of incentive for them and hopefully a great atmosphere to cheer the team on.
Yes, sir. We need it. Everybody come on out and support the cause.
So Maryville, have you had a chance to get a good look at them as far as what they're up to this season?
We have, and right now they're 1-5 on the year, but they're better than what their record shows. They've played some tough competition, and Coach Danny has them playing well. They're going to execute their stuff. It's going to be a game where we have to come out and play for a full 40 minutes. We have to play for a full 40 minutes and be locked into the scout report. They have a couple of kids that if we kind of let them get going, they can be issues. They can be a problem. But we were in the gym today, had a good practice. We'll have another good one tomorrow. We'll really hone in on the scout and be expecting what they're going to run. And then it's on the girls to go execute it, and I know they will.
Well, looking to certainly improve to 6-1 on Wednesday and 2-0 in the USA South Conference, and then on the road on Saturday. You know, I've had a real run of home games here, but going to go hit the road on Saturday, heading to Decatur, Georgia, to take on Agnes Scott. That's at 2:00. Now, last thing, Coach, we're about to have two senior student athletes on the show, JaTasha Hollinger and Annalee Bollinger.
Yes, sir.
Tell the audience, about those two student athletes.
They both have been great for us. Both have come from different programs and brought what they bring to our team, and now we're looking to send them out the right way. Send them out the right way with a good season and good individual performances from them. I'm pretty sure that's important to them. But they've been great for us. Great leadership. It's nothing like having players that have been around. Mm-hmm. You get some young kids and some things are foreign to them. They haven't been in that close game late. They haven't been down 5 with a minute and a half to go. You got to get stops and go execute your offense. And being able to get these two, they've been great for us, and I would love to send them out the right way.
And now, on the court, these two, everyone knows Annalee can drain the three. What other parts of her game, something that, fans might not realize that she gets done on the court?
She's more than just a shooter. I know that's what the fans see because she lights it up in the gym, but she's so smart. Always in the right spot defensively. She's an extension of our coaching staff on the floor, and that's what we really value about her. I know she's going to make threes in the game, but what's most importantly about that is that she talks to her teammates and gets them in the right spots because she pretty much knows what I'm thinking. I don't have to say it, and she gets everybody together. And JaTasha just brings a defensive energy that we need. And I tell her every day in practice that she can be the best defensive player in this league. She can. I've seen the league. I know what they have, and she can definitely lock up any player that comes into this gym. That's the challenge I want her to accept.
Yeah, having that lockdown defender is just huge.
You need it.
On any level of basketball. Well, Coach, best of luck with the rest of this week, and especially on Wednesday against Maryville. We'll see you out there at the Bosch. Hope fans can head on out, get on your best shade of blue that you can, and come on out to the Bosch and help cheer on these student athletes. Coach, we're going to hear from Annalee and JaTasha now, so appreciate you coming on the show once again, Coach. Yeah, we'll see you. Head coach Donald Hudson of the Brevard College women's basketball program, as we are joined now by the two seniors of this Tornado women's basketball team, Annalee Bollinger and JaTasha Hollinger. Ladies, thanks for joining Tornado Talk.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Well, let's start with an easy one. How was practice today?
It was exhilarating. We ran a lot, did a lot of drills, got back in the motion. We had a day off, but I think that's what we needed to do to get us ready for Maryville Wednesday.
Yes, it was very competitive today out there. We did pretty good, but it really was like a lot of hard work.
Now, big week this past week. 3-0 on the week, improved to 5-1 overall. I know you guys have probably moved on. The 24-hour rule is over, and you guys are on to Maryville. But I do want to start with this. One of your teammates won an award this afternoon. Avery Lockwood named the USA South Women's Basketball Rookie of the Week. A great honor for Avery after a big week on the boards. I'd like you each to tell the audience about Avery a little, and maybe something that fans don't know if they come to the games, that makes Avery a special player.
First off, congrats to her. That's a really, really big award for a freshman, especially being far from home like she is. I know that's a big adjustment, but as a person, she's just a great person. To have her in practice and be a freshman and still have a leadership role as a big man when there's only two of them, and we look for her for big minutes and to score and to really help our defense and block shots. And she's just such a good person to have. And in practice, when we're working and stuff's not going her way, it upsets her, and it's good to see her care about it. I love her character. I love that she cares enough to win games and get upset about it and fix it for not only herself but us as a team. That's great. She's got that kind of fire. And JaTasha, anything to add to that?
Congrats to Avery. Like she said, Avery is a good all-around person. Outside of practice, I have the chance to shoot around with her and stuff, and she really works hard and very well. She's a very good all-around player. She's great on the boards. She's very coachable, and she's just a great all-around player.
Okay, now I just talked to your coach about you two, both off and on the court, but I want to stay on the court for a minute here. Annalee, you're known to fans as a shooter. You're not afraid to take the three, and I've seen you get hot at times. Talk about that shooter mentality. As far as a three-point shooter, and how whether you're constantly looking for the three, or do you realize you're hot sometimes and you let it launch even quicker. Tell us how that goes from your perspective.
There's some games I do get hot, and I might take ill-advised threes because I'm feeling good about it. Coach doesn't always like that, but he always tells me to keep shooting. But as a shooter, I wasn't always that way. I came into college not a shooter. I formed into that, and having a coach who didn't tell me to stop shooting. He tells me even when I miss shots, I can't stop shooting. And having a coach who tells you that and gives you that confidence helps me be a better player and a better shooter.
Now, JaTasha, your coach called you a lockdown defender who can basically nullify any weapon the other offense might throw at you. Talk about defense and that sort of mentality as far as man-to-man lockdown defense.
Well, I always was taught and learned to defense first and offense second, and I feel like I'm fast and quick, and I contribute to my team with the defense, and I feel like defense is my strong suit, and I try to help my teammates with that any way I can. So yeah.
Great. I see Tasha on the ball, and I feel pretty good about it. I'm like, okay, we're about to get a stop. All right, let's go.
Yeah, a stop that can even lead to a turnover and a fast break opportunity. You guys aren't afraid to run off those turnovers.
We had a game at Bob Jones where she got a second chance opportunity, hit me. I got a late clock three at halftime, and it was just that extra effort that she gave us and those defensive stops and going after the ball. Those 50-50 balls are so important, and she got one for us, and it was big. Wasn't the outcome we desired, but it's plays like that are going to help us down the stretch win a lot of games.
Nice. Well, now I do want to talk a little bit about your role as seniors on the team. There's a mix of players throughout this roster, and plenty of young players, freshmen and sophomore. Talk about your role as leaders and the sorts of things you guys try to do, to pave the way for the next group under you.
Obviously, this is my fourth year in college basketball. I've played with some really good teams, really good players, but this team is different for me. I adjusted. They're fast. They're athletic. They're sometimes out of my element as a player. They're a lot more athletic than me. But I know going in as a senior, I just have to adjust to how they play and remember that and be vocal and help them get to their spots and help them shape everything they can to be the best player they can while making me better as well.
Yeah, and how about your thinking as far as helping out those younger players?
They do look up to me a lot when they're down or frustrated or something. I always be there to uplift them and give them confidence and stuff. I'm just like a big sister, and like she said, this is my first year, but my senior year with them, and I feel pretty confident about these group of girls, and not even just me helping them, but they help me out as well. Okay,
now that you're seniors, I'm going to ask you a question that I've asked many guests on this show from across all the sports. What do you love about Brevard College?
For me, I came from school my freshman year that I just don't think I fit in well with. I had a coach that left, and I just don't feel like it was the best place for me. And then I come into Brevard, and I find a home, not a school, not a basketball team, a home. And I take that word very, very seriously. Like my players and my coaches and my professors, it really means everything to me. Like I love the school, I love this team. I would really do anything for it going forward, and I'll always remember the times that I had here. And this is just a really special year for me because of how much this team means to me and everything that Coach Hudson and Coach Hyde have done for me along the way.
For me, I would say the bond in the community and the people around here, there's a lot of support system around here, and I've never really had that, and I fit right in with the girls, and I wouldn't want to end my senior way with anyone else. These are a great group of girls.
Great. Well, I feel very confident that the rest of this year is going to continue to be fruitful with leadership like the two of you, and of course Coach Hudson and his staff as well. Ladies, thanks for coming on Tornado
Absolutely.
Talk tonight. It's been great to get to know you a little better, and we really look forward to helping pack the Bosch on Wednesday. Last one, I want you guys to send the message to the Brevard College community, specifically your fellow students who have an opportunity on Wednesday, if they wear a blue shirt, to get that free concession item, but also, more importantly, to pack that building to cheer you guys on. I want to hear from you guys.
Everyone wants free stuff. You're a college kid. What else do you have to do except come out here and get a free T-shirt or free stuff? Like, everyone has blue. Everyone in this whole town wears blue. Come out, support us. Let's get a win. Let's get some free stuff. Let's have a good time.
There we go.
We just need all the support we can get out there, a lot of cheering, and let's get everybody out here for this game.
Well, who couldn't come to the game after hearing those, that sort of salesmanship? Appreciate coming on the show, ladies. Good luck this week. We'll see you Wednesday night at the Bosch.
Thank you.
All right, Annalee Bollinger and JaTasha Hollinger of Brevard College women's basketball wrapping up tonight's edition of Tornado Talk. Want to thank all of our guests from cycling, head coach Brad Perley and assistant coach Cypress Gorey, along with student athletes Hannah Dickson and Tyler Clark. Want to congratulate Hannah and Tyler again for their wins at the conference championship this past weekend in cyclocross, and want to also remind folks this weekend in Hendersonville, North Carolina, this event will be going off in the snow, and in fact, it might even be more fun to spectate in the snow. Head on over to Jackson Park in Hendersonville Saturday and Sunday for the cyclocross North Carolina Grand Prix. Also want to thank, from men's basketball, head coach Lee Burgess and his student athletes Qadhafi Turner and Demari Hopper. Men's basketball will be at home this Friday, 7:30 versus Avery at the Bosch. Hope to see you there. Also want to thank assistant head coach and running backs coach Eric Gallen. Some really great stories from him about Kansas State legendary head coach Bill Snyder, who Coach Gallen played under. Snyder retiring from the sport of college football yesterday. And from women's basketball, head coach Donald Hudson and student athletes Annalee Bollinger and JaTasha Hollinger. Hope to see you on Wednesday night at the Bosch for that Blue Out. 6 p.m. Wednesday at the Bosch. Come support the women's basketball team. Want to thank our sponsors, Arby's, Zaxby's, Holiday Inn Express, Hampton Inn, Ingalls, Mission Sports Medicine, Comporium, Pepsi, and Dugan's Pub. Hope to see you next Monday night here at Dugan's Pub, 7 p.m. If not, join us on Facebook Live. And, hey, head on over to Dugan's Pub tonight if you like, if you want to check out some Monday Night Football, maybe even some college basketball on the many TVs here. And we hope to see you next Monday night here, 7 p.m. Appreciate everyone for tuning in, and thank you again to all of our guests. We'll see you next week. Go Tornadoes.